Hello everyone and welcome to today's episode of The Drawing Board. My name is David Franklin. I'm your host. Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. Now, this week, Hardcore Henry comes out, which is a movie with this really cool first-person kind of perspective throughout the whole movie of a man, presumably, who cannot talk. And Henry had gone through this horrible accident, and his wife or girlfriend, presumably, is helping him feel better. She's some sort of a scientist, gives him all sorts of robotic implants that are helping him, rotate his hands and feet at odd angles, have abnormal strength, abnormal durability, abnormal speed, and he's really hard to kill at this point. And he didn't have his vocal whatever implanted, so he can't talk. So it's more like you're doing it the whole movie, like anything is a yes or no, and he's going to respond like this. Anyways, Hardcore Henry, super cool idea from a filmmaking perspective, doing it first person, but also from a scientific perspective. Now, we don't have a whole lot of robotic implants we put into people. However, in the modern day, we do have these things called exoskeletons, which is a lot more like what Iron Man wears. It's a robotic suit that goes on the outside of the body, and that robotic suit helps them be able to move. It increases strength, it increases speed, and in certain cases, it acts as armor as well, like with Iron Man. Well, there are actually lots of different exoskeletons out there for a lot of different things, so we're going to go ahead and talk about some of those today. The first two we're going to talk about are Hal and ReWalk Personnel 6.0. They're two fairly similar ideas in terms of what the exoskeleton is designed to do. They're designed to take people who are paraplegic or have gone under serious problems with their legs. Say they got wrapped up with an IED in the Middle East or in some sort of combat situation, and all of a sudden they have little to no mobility with their legs. Well, Hal and the ReWalk Personnel 6.0 are both exoskeletons that go on the legs. Now, the Hal is supposed to allow wearers to walk right around 2.5 miles per hour, and I don't believe it's for people who are completely paraplegic, but the ReWalk Personnel 6.0 is. It allows people who have just a tiny little bit of motor control in terms of they can tell their legs to move, but they have absolutely no strength to actually move them. People who've gone through accidents that they weren't born unable to move, but they have gone through some sort of an accident that is really damaged their neural connection or their muscular strength in general. And so it's designed to not only help them walk, but also to get them walking again. The springs and the amount of help that you are receiving as a user will decrease over time, so it's sort of like a constant physical therapy. Really cool, and it costs about $20,000, but it's still in the private sector. It's only in Japan for people who are like test subjects, but it's coming, and it'll be really cool once that actually happens. There's a really cool Cox commercial recently where there's a older man who, I think it aired during the Super Bowl, and the older man, he had these exoskeletons on his leg, and he synced up with Bluetooth to his iPad looking thing and went through the Wi-Fi and was able to dance with his granddaughter, presumably, and it was a really cool commercial. But it does show you when, Cox is trying to say basically, and they did a pretty good job at it, they're trying to say that having faster Wi-Fi can give you a better life and make you less handicapped, which sounds ridiculous, but in the way they portrayed it, it was actually really cool and very believable and plausible. But it also shows the potential for exoskeletons, and things like the ReWalk Personnel 6.0 and the Hal will be great additions to any sort of medical solution pack. It's gonna be big. The next is called Fortis, and it's an exoskeleton that works a lot with your shoulders and arms, and it allows right now military personnel, because it's designed by Lockheed Martin, who almost exclusively works with the military. I mean, they do private stuff, but they have a contract with the military for Fortis right now, and so they're not working with anyone else. But Fortis, what it does is it allows you to lift your arms. Say I'm working with a circular saw or something. I'm working with a circular saw, and I'm working up above my head. So I'm going to be holding it up the whole day, and it's going to be really tiring. It's only, 3-pound, maybe 5-pound system, but holding it up for a very long time will cause me to get really tired. Well, Fortis allows you to hold it up there for a really long period of time and not experience really any fatigue at all. It's really cool. Eventually, I expect it'll probably find its way into the private and public sectors for people who are working at, let's say, Boeing first, probably will find some sort of way to work here, especially at Lockheed Martin. Not just the military will be using this, probably people working on government construction things. But eventually we might see it find its way to Home Depot for, independent contractors. Maybe. It'd be really cool. I know it would be really cool for me, or I could just work out. For now, that's what I'm going to do. Next on the list is the XOS2. And the XOS2, again, is a military contract only exoskeleton, but it's really, really cool. It allows military personnel to either pick up about 200 pounds or to put a 150-pound rucksack on their back and be able to walk however far they want. And basically, they don't feel the weight at all. In fact, they can already do things like walk upstairs and do push-ups with this kind of weight on their back and holding it up. And it's just, it allows us to pick up weight but still function like we have no weight that we're picking up, which is a really cool idea. It has a lot of advantages in the military for, covering big distances without military vehicles, which in terms of strategy and tactics, if you needed to go in someplace really tight and didn't have room for vehicles, but you still needed all this equipment, it could be a big deal. So just thinking through rescue campaigns, any sort of special ops thing, maybe medical people who want to move along with the rest of their unit but want to have more medical supplies on them, so we might see less fatalities and less injuries in the Middle East or any sort of war we find ourselves in. It'd be really, really cool. A lot of great things could happen from the XOS2, a lot of potential there. But we're going to go ahead and move on to the next item in our list, which is the Steadicam. It might be a little bit less dramatic. It's not helping the paraplegic walk, and it's not helping military personnel take down ISIS, but it does help you film better. It helps you get really steady shots. It can help you pick up about a 50-pound camera, have it right in front of you, and even if the user is moving around darn near perfectly balanced, it has 3 articulating arms, which means that even if the user decides to let go and move around, that the camera will still stay relatively in place, which means when you do have hands on the camera, you can get these remarkably smooth and gorgeous shots, which is what they use. If you've ever seen a movie where someone goes upstairs and all through different rooms and stuff, and it's this really smooth shot, and it seems like the shot never breaks, the only way they can do that with something like the Steadicam, and it's really, really cool. And then finally, last on our list, for those of you who actually have a little bit of money to throw around, but not all that much, and would like an exoskeleton, these are really, really cool. You can get these platforms that you stand on, and they make you run faster. They're called velocity stilts. They can make you run faster, jump higher. They're a lot of fun for gymnastics and parkour people. They give you a lot of different things to do. It can make you run about 25 miles per hour and jump over fences. Really, really cool, actually. I'd like to get a pair and do an episode on exoskeletons and on elasticity and velocity and all that. It'd be lots of fun. So whenever I get a $300 to throw around extra for the show, since I'm really not making that much from the show right now, I will do that. I think that'd be a lot of fun, and I have a lot of other things I'm investing in the meantime for the show because I have a lot of great plans. But the velocity stilts will probably come eventually. I'm excited for that. So anyways, thank you so much for watching today's episode of The Drawing Board. My name is David Frank, and I'm your host. Thank you so much for watching. And make sure to tune in next week when we're going to be getting to the first of some of those more exciting builds and stuff. And I'm going to teach you how to make a propane cannon. And then right after that, we're going to be talking about how cannons, rockets, and guns/bullets work. Should be a lot of fun next week, so tune in then. And thanks for following along. Have a great day.